I'm doing a quick live. I'm kind of waiting to make sure things get set up on YouTube here, waiting for my phone to catch up. Just so I can make sure I can see it. Here we go. All right, in case of some chat. Hi, everybody. I'm doing a quick live tonight to do the June challenge. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's been a long morning already. It's been hot. The June challenge of the month is to use aqua pigments on a project. And one other Brutus Monroe product, you would post it in the Brutus Monroe fan club page with the hashtag CYOE challenge. And you have till July 29th at 11:59 p.m. To put it in there, 2 entries per person. And I thought maybe I would do some quick aqua pigment ink smushing and show you how that's one of my favorite ways to use it. So I just have a few. I grabbed a red, a yellow, and a blue, and then my trusty pearl. I have like 4 bottles of the pearl. So, and I thought we'd just get started. I have some aqua pigment paper here. That is my favorite watercolor paper, but you can use any watercolor paper you have. And there's a couple different ways we can go about this. So the first way that I like to do this is I like to just go ahead. I like to ink smush on a surface. I don't use plastic. Some people do. I like to do it this way. So after I put some down, and I have the red down because I did a couple last night so they would dry, I like to spray it and let it get just a little bit more liquidy. Ellen, it is, pearl is my favorite. It's, yep, oops. It's, you can do anything with it and you can add it to anything. I spray both sides of my paper just because I really want it to flow. And I'll show you why I like it that way with the second piece. So when I wet it down and smooth it, see how smooth it is? And then the one thing that's nice about ink smushing is you can watercolor and just let it go. Just let it happen. So I'm going to let this one set aside. And then I've got another piece right here that I did not spray. And this is the difference. Do you see how you get the blotches, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I like to start trying to get the paper wet so it gets nice and flowy. And then you can build upon this. So I'm going to set this one aside for a second. I just keep a cloth handy. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this up. And while my paper is wet, I'm going to go ahead and use some blue. And I'm going to do this one on the splotchy one because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the red one in a minute here. I have one drying and I want to create that. So by just doing that, see this different splotches on there? So now if I spray this, I can get it to move a little bit more. See, you can just smush it back down and it creates some fun color. And you can keep adding as much as you want in different areas. So I've got some red. There's more purple because they added to each other. But I can add more deep blue by just dropping some more on my plate. And when I watercolor like images, if I have leftovers, this is what I do with it. And I have done it even on just scrap paper. You just, and to use like for little pieces. So I'm going to leave this one alone and set it aside to dry. And then let's wipe this up. For the red one that I used first, this one I want to make sparkly. So I'm going to use the pearl, and the pearl has, you know, the shimmer in it. So you do need to kind of shake it up a little bit. And you can use it directly with the pigments, or in this case, I'm going to put it on top. And I like to, again, water it down a little bit just so it kind of runs. That's just my preference of using it. You do not have to do that. And you can see on my desktop that it's kind of a red pearly mix. And then it starts getting the shimmer added to it. And I'm trying to get this, I want this piece very covered as much as can. I don't mind a little white space, but I guess I don't have the chat open. I apologize. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and dry this quick. The reason I spray the back side of my paper, sorry for the noise, is because it helps it flatten out a little bit faster if I'm going to let it air dry. That was a trick I learned in a class a couple years ago at an event. So I'm not going to dry it completely because I'm going to go ahead and add some more color. I have more red and pearl. There's more on each. So I've got some red, drop some pearl. I'm not going to dry this one completely because I just made one that I can make. You can also take a paintbrush if you want to get it swirly together so that that shimmer gets in that whole red. And that's a fun way. You can splatter with it, but that's a fun way to add shimmer to any color, any aqua pigment you have. Oh yeah, no, I do that all the time. And with my, I've even done it with re-inkers to make a little bit of a re-inking, but it gives it, you can always add shimmer. I use pearl on a lot of projects. I do the same thing also with the, you can also use the shimmer mist the same way as the water pigment. It just depends, or aqua pigment. It depends on how, what product I'm using. So I do want to dry this again because I want to add just a little bit more layers. And then we'll move on to a project quick. We got a little bit left here on the taper. Yes. Oh, the bilingual sides. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Yes. No. Yep. That is. It's funny here. I'll show you what I mean. You can kind of see it. Let's add just a little bit more red to the top of this so we can get nice big red splotches. See, now by not adding any water, I have some big red splotches. I didn't add water to either the paper or the aqua pigment, and now I have these big red splotches, which is kind of what I'm going for. You'll see that when the project. I like to kind of sometimes smush and just pull it, and I try to use up as much as I can. Now I'll show you what I mean. So you see how it's kind of, now it probably won't work because we're live, right? But it's kind of fun the first time you ever do it. So if I spray the backside and I set it down, see how it just starts to lay back down? It's not as curvy. It's not perfect, but it will lay down flatter. And then I'm just going to set this aside to dry. This is one I did earlier, just a little bit ago, so it's fairly dry. You can see the shimmer just a little bit. It's not always easy to film it live, but in person you can usually see it. I'm going to grab my Misty here, and we're going to quickly make a little Oz card with it. And then I will do a couple more. I will show you a couple more that I like to do. It is yummy shimmer. I paint with it. I water it down and use a paintbrush to paint over my Copic images or my alcohol market images, or just my sentiments to make them shimmery, or other die cuts. I use it as its own too, but I pretty much use it a lot with other items just to make that shimmer. So I just grabbed the Ruby Slippers stamp set because I thought it would be fun to, I'm going to make sure I'm on the shimmer part. Yep. So since I use the shimmer and the red, we just go ahead and quick paint this. Now this might be a little wet. I'm not going to, because I did this a little bit ago. I'm not going to worry about it because I don't mind if I get extra shimmer on this because they are Ruby Slippers after all. And I'm just using some embossing powder. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Is it hot in Cedar Rapids like it is here? Ellen, yes, we just had an Oz release. You should check it out. We had the Ruby Slippers. Let's see, what else do I have handy really quick fast here? I don't have the rest of my paper pad because I've already cut it, but we had a paper pad. Here is the inspiration box stamp. And if you get the inspiration box, it also has the dies in it, and it has the paper pad. And then we had my No Place Like Home stamp set over here. I have this is the best of friends. I'm sorry, this one was No Place Like Home. There's the best of friends, and this also has a coordinating die. And I lost my little Toto. I'm so sad. I can't find him right now. But he's here somewhere, I hope. And then we also have the Witch, and that also has a coordinating die. And then we have the cutting die of the month that has all these fun odds and ends with the monkey and the shoes and the tornado and Glinda's hat. And then there was a couple of stencils. There was a rainbow stencil and an emerald stencil. So that was just a quick view of that. So go ahead and go to the store and check out that release because it's amazing. Yeah, Toto will come home, I hope. I wanted to use him last night during my craft roulette, and I fortunately I found one I had done and cut up, and it was sitting in a bin so I could finish my card. I haven't posted it yet. Christopher was on craft roulette last night, and I took one of their ideas and ran with it. Okay, what am I looking for? I'm looking for my fairy dust embossing powder. That is one of my favorite embossing powders. Besides, the icicle is my number one because I use that a lot, but the fairy dust has some glitter in it. And like I said, if I have some extra, I'm not moving my stamp yet because I see because of watercolor paper, I did miss a spot. I am going to brush off just a little bit right here since it's close. I was fortunate enough, I kind of played around with it last night. I cheated. I used a leftover from my live the other night as my base. And then I had a couple of, I used some shimmer powder, and then I had that Toto. So it didn't take me long to create mine. So then I did a bunch of ink smushing backgrounds, but I got to get picture taken and get it uploaded. So this is going to be not as easy to see right away, especially on camera, because it's clear embossing powder with some shimmer. But I could cut this out and I could fussy cut this out, which is what I might do to finish this, this on another card. But I also could leave it just as is and do it again, do something else here quick. I'm going to go ahead and stamp it down here in this corner because it didn't quite get that. That's the beauty of having a MISTI. You know what, Lisa? It's a good day for it. It's so hot right now. I did some garage sailing. I was going to go live a little bit earlier, but I went and did some garage sailing. I was excited. I actually found a bag for crops and a couple of photo albums. When I take events, I do not complete, when I do events like online, virtual events, or in-person events, I actually don't make them into cards anymore. They're my samples in my memory, so I just make them into 4x5 1/4 panels, and I put them in a 4x6 album, and then that's my memory. So I found that I was making cards at all the events, like the Create Your Own Ending event, and then I was keeping the cards as samples, and it was taking up too much space. So you went to the T-ball this morning? Yes. It's in Penny. It is going to be over 90 here too. It's like 89 right now. I was going to mow the lawn, so but I changed my mind. I don't know if they'll show up on camera because it's very hard to see. So what I'm going to do is, we have some ink smushing, but I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and add just a little bit of ink blending, and I'm just using some Simon Hurley ink, and see if I can get it to darken up a little bit, because you cannot see the icicle. I was trying to make them sparkly, but I guess you can't quite see them on screen. You can see them in real life. So I might go ahead and just stamp them in another color, and we'll do it over. Let's stamp them down with the red ink. See what happens. Well, of course, now that I put the ink on it, it's gonna be very, very, very sparkly. 85 in Texas. Whew. Is it a dry humidity or a hot? I'm sorry, a dry heat or a humid heat. It's humid right now here. I spent all day out yesterday. My boss had a golf tournament and I was a witness at one of the holes in ones chances. So I had to watch to see if anyone won, which they did not. So I got to spend all day outside. So I'm going ahead and adding some red ink. It's not quite, oh, it's humid too. Oh, Penny, that sounds fun too. I was going to do it early, but now that it's 80, I just thought we don't really need to mow. We haven't had any rain. We had like 5 minutes of rain yesterday, but we haven't had enough rain to really warrant mowing again. So I'm going to go ahead. I stamped it down just because, you know, with live, sometimes it doesn't work the way you want. I have some of the Scarlet embossing powder. We're just going to pop it on there and see what happens here. Oh yeah, it's a hot mess. That's a hot mess. All right, I screwed that up. So we're just going to ignore that. We're going to go on and move on to the other one I did. I'll fix that after off camera. I apologize. That's what happens though, right? I knew that was going to happen because the ink was still wet. I hope it rains this afternoon like I hear. So what we'll do is we're going to take the piece I just finished with you guys. Yeah, I actually was excited. I bought most of the things I bought at the garage sale were for the dog. I bought some stuffed animals, and I found a basketball and a football and a couple other baby toys that I know he can chew on because he's still a puppy. And he was out there running around with the basketball, but he kicked it right into the corner and laid down in the garage, so I knew it was hot. And just before I went live, he started barking. So I was like, yay, he's coming in. So I don't have to worry about it during the live. So I'm going to redo this one. But this is the background we just made live together. And I'm going to change to the detail ink so we can see it. Because it didn't quite, even though they're supposed to be ruby slippers, they're still going to be ruby slippers. We're just going to put some black ink down on them. So you see the outline of them. And I'm going to do it a couple of times because this is a watercolor paper, so it's textured. And then we might add just a little bit more shimmer to them with some aqua pigment here. All right, I think one more time and we're going to call it good. And I'm going to quickly see if I can heat set this, make them shimmery with the icicle. And then that's what I like to do when I'm watercoloring with well, any watercolors, but I pretty much only use aqua pigments. So we're going to cover this with the fairy dust, and it will get that black sharp sparkly. You could have covered it with the red too, and the red would have just had some black flecks through it. But this will work. So now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to add a bunch of aqua pigment to this. Again, here's another way to add them. Like I said, ink smooshing is my favorite way. I'm getting better at watercoloring. I'm feeling more comfortable watercoloring. I'm just going to mix it up, the shimmer, the pearl shimmer, and the aqua pigment. And then I'm actually going to grab a different brush here and wet it down first. This has some water on it, so that's why it's kind of beating up. It's kind of reactivating a little bit of that watercolor underneath. And then we're just going to go ahead and paint a bunch of it on so that when it dries, it's very shimmery. And the only reason I painted it first is because it kind of helps it blend out just a little bit and bleed out a little bit. And that is the easiest way for me to watercolor, is to have the barrier of the embossed lines and then flood the area with water and then go over with some more Then once these are dry, if I wanted even more shimmer, I could go ahead and put some more pearl on top, but they will be quite shimmery once they dry. There we go. Well, I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. So I don't know if you can let the camera catch up a little bit. Oh, I went the wrong way, sorry. And then here's another one of the backgrounds that I created last night with the purple and the blue and the red. Actually, we're gonna quick grab the one I made earlier. We're gonna sop up this. Don't waste any. Just adds layer upon layer. Thank you. It's, you know, you can grab a background stamp and very quickly make just a fun background and then add a sentiment, which is one of my favorite ways to use these. But I thought it might be fun to, just watching the time here, cut out. I have not used the monkey yet. So I've got the monkey, I've got all his little pieces here. I thought it'd be fun to cut some of him out. And add him to our card, or to a card base. So I just have a little tabletop die cut machine that I won from an event. So I'm just going to cut this down. I want my monkey to be this purpley blue, so I'm going to go ahead and use this color. That's one thing that's fun about ink smushing, is you can choose your colors. So I want that, and I'm actually going to do the wings the same color, the same colors. Yes, you could put, yep, you could put it in an embossing folder and I did that on one of my inks. I did, because you can do ink smooshing with Chroma Mist as well. And I did that with the pearl or the shimmer and the yellow, and then I put it through an embossing folder to make it look like a yellow brick road. Those samples will be coming up on social media pretty soon. They're actually going in the mail. Awesome. I'm going to push this out. So we got our cute little monkey here. Oh, and I think it might be fun to give our monkey kind of a red, I'm going to give him a red face, make him look angry. So I've got that little bit of red area there. I'm just going to go ahead and put his face right there. Grab some tape. I have not used this guy yet. I'm super excited. I think I've used all of the other dies on this one so far. I just hadn't used him yet. All right. So he's got some different looks to him here. So we're going to go ahead, and I might actually leave this in. I'm going to go ahead and tape this in so I have some added dimension, and I'm going to glue it right on top so that it pops up a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one, and I'll leave his eyes in there. And we'll pop his eyes up, and we'll give him some dimension too. So when his face is like this, ooh, he looks kind of mean because he's got that line down there. What kind of, oh, it's just a mini die cutting machine. I want it in a craft thing. It's from, this one's from Happy Doodle. It works just the same. I have the Tim Holtz Sidekick or the Sizzix. I think Hero Arts has one. I think there are all sorts of little mini ones, and I love it for my little desktop. So when I'm crafting live, I can, I don't have to move to my big computer or my big one behind me where you can't see. Okay, so there are 4 little pieces for his vest, and 2 of them are the bigger ones. And I think, not sure I want to use the same colors. I think I'm going to just grab some scratch paper quick. To cut this out, because then we have some, oh, and this has sticky on the back. That's awesome. So I'm going to do that and his hat out of this dark blue. Take all of it down. So yeah, there's all, I know we have one in the store. I don't know if it's in stock right now. I didn't look beforehand, but I do know we had them. I think it's the Hero Arts one. But they all work really, really well, in my opinion. So far, I mean, I've seen them at other ones at Crops. I don't know why I did that. That people have used the other versions of different companies, and they all seem to work really, really well. This one just happened to be one I'm friends with the owner, and it was an event that she was sponsoring in, and I went in and just happened to win. So I would buy it. I need more plates, but it's cute. All right, we got our little pieces, and I have these little condiment trays that I bought at like the dollar store. You get a whole pile of them this size, and that's what I use my little piece. I put my little pieces on when I'm prepping for a live, if I have stuff done, or when I'm die cutting a bunch of little pieces so that I don't lose them. I do the same thing with sometimes if I put my dies in them or my little tiny stamps, which is why I was thinking maybe Toto's in one of them. So hopefully I'll find him. I'm going to pop my stuff in here. Yep, I finally killed one of mine too. Well, I kind of killed it. It still worked, and I got one for Christmas a couple years ago, a new machine and a platinum, and I gave my sister my small one, or my old one, because it still worked, but not for everyday use. And my sister doesn't do as much die cutting as I do. Okay, so we've got that. We've got our monkey. Let's get him put together quick. We do need some black eyes. I think he needs black eyes. Well, he has blue eyes in this one. I think I'm going to give him black. Let's give him really dark blue eyes. Just need a small piece. And these are just scraps out of my scrap bin. I keep most every size piece of paper because it's just easy. You know, you never know when you want that tiny little star or that tiny little heart, especially on my specialty papers or on papers like this. I will keep this and put this aside because I don't know if I want a sentiment made out of it, or I could just make a couple balloons out of it and make a birthday card quick. Oh, how do you like it, How do you like it, Ellen? They've been awesome so far. I have heard of that one, but I haven't used it. That's awesome. All right, so we just I layered his face together. And then I'm going to go ahead and put his little dots on his eyes here. And, oh, where'd the other one go? We lost one of his eyeballs. Okay. Oh, nope, there it is. It's stuck to the back. It's so dark, it was hard to see. I'm going to pull him out and just use a little jewel picker here to put him in place. Oh, I like the fact that they're blue and not dark black. They're super dark, but they're not so stark black. All right, let's go ahead and put our hat together. And we'll get him on our background. I think we're going to add him to our ruby slipper background. Okay, yep. I agree. I only use my big one when I really need it. If I'm using something that won't fit, I use my small one, or if I'm molding lots of pieces, I can do a bunch of pieces at one time, and I use my big one. If I'm using a square, you know, or I'm just putting the piece back together here quick. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off because this has some double-sided stick-it type. I don't even know what it is. It's all, you know, this was in my scrap one. Stick that down. I got his little hat. Stick it on my desk. We're going to go ahead and get the outside pieces on, and we're going to get this together and finish up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I flipped it over. I might need to add a little bit more. I'm not a very good person with tweezers. I need to learn to use tweezers more. And then they just line up with each piece. I'm kind of looking at the package to see. It lines up right in the center, the package on the back. So I need to move it over just a little bit. So it's kind of in the center. Shannon is going live tonight. So make sure you come back and check her out at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. Let's see what kind of shenanigans she gets up with. You know, that's the fun part, like I said, of ink smooshing, is that you can really create some fun and unique and different looks to things. And, you know, Monkey, he can be scary to a lot of people when they watch the show, but he's cute. Here, I mean, even though he's a flying monkey, which we got to put his wings on yet too. So I didn't quite get that one lined up as well, but it's fine. Maybe he shifted in his jacket. You could have done the reverse colors too and did a red one with the blue on top, so it would be reverse of his hat. I thought he'd just be fun to kind of add to our little our card here quick. Yeah, I am usually live on Wednesday nights, Alan. Most of the time I'm live. I just Christopher just had me go live with the program that we use that's on the different channels today. So this is the first time I've been on them. Usually I'm just on the Brutus Monroe channel on Wednesday nights. It's a good night for me. It's the middle of the week. It breaks it up. Oh my gosh, look at how cute he is. So, but I appreciate you joining me. So I don't know, I think I'm going to go ahead and find, let's see, what's our, I want to cut this down, put this on a card, and then we'll see about putting our monkey on a card. It is a little bit wet, but I'm not going to worry about that too much because it's not too wet. I'm going to trim it down just a little bit. I like to trim down to 4 and 5 1/4. I'm going to trim down just a little bit off each side, just because sometimes when you aqua pigment, you've got a little bit of warpage in the corners. Okay, let's check out. This is at 4. Not quite. All right. See if I have a matte handy quick. Green. I don't want green. I may not have any mattes handy right now. I wanted to matte, not black. Sorry, I'm just going to reach over here and I found some black paper. We'll cut this down quick. Yeah, he's adorable. And like I said, I love the fact that he's kind of that different purpley color. I'm going to go ahead and cut this down because I'm going to have this be the full panel background. We're going to attach this. Oops. And it is, because it is a little warped, because of the watercolor, you can run it through your die cut machine, but I just find I tend to just put a lot of tape on it. It gives it a little texture. You can add foam tape. That really helps sometimes. It is a little wet yet, so that's why it's got a little bit of more of that right there on the, but I'm just going to add a little extra glue, a little extra tape. And then because of that, I'm also going to add a little bit of liquid glue. Oh, Michelle, it's okay. This is an impromptu live. I was at work yesterday. I thought I should see if I could do a quick live, talk about aqua pigments. You can watch the replay if you want. I was just doing some ink smushing backgrounds and showing a quick, fast card. So I did this ink smushing with the red and the pearl pigments, and then I aqua pigments, and then I stamped out the ruby slippers, and then I painted some more on it to give them a shimmer, which is kind of hard to see on camera. You can kind of see it. I'm trying to get the sun in there. And then we've got a couple of stamps. I'm going to go ahead and use the You're Stronger Than You Think. I like that one. There's also Sparkle On. Then I'm going to do You're Stronger Than You Think in black. And then this card is different. Thanks, Michelle. I'm gonna we also created I created these last night using blue and red, and I cut out the little monkey. For that, I'll have to add him to a card a little bit later. I'm thinking I might cut out a few more and finish that up. And then I'll get that posted probably tomorrow. I'll finish it up today. I'll go ahead and stamp this down, but I thought I'd show you one more ink smushing thing with it being June and it's Pride Month. It's Pride Month, and it's also rainbows, part of Wizard of Oz. So I thought I'd show you a quick way to make an aqua pigment. Yes, yes, we can, can't we? Always could use a plan. Sorry, that made my day. I need a lot of that. Okay, we're gonna put these off to the side. I'm gonna make some more monkeys, and I just used some blue and red paper for my scraps to create a hat. And I need a piece of paper. This is just some. Do I have any more? Here, I do have aqua pigment paper. Like I said, it's my favorite. But look, I'm almost out. I'll have to place an order for some. It does come in the slim line as well. So this is one thing I thought was really fun for a rainbow. I'm going to spray this down really well. I am going to wipe up this a little bit. I'm going to spray the back. Like I said, when I spray the back, it tends to see it's flattening out. I think that's just crazy. I have yellow, red, and blue. I'm going to start with the yellow. You do not have to use aqua pigment paper. Aqua pigment paper is our watercolor paper. It is my favorite because it holds up really well, but you can use any watercolor paper. And I have it's a dirty desk, so it's just the paper I like. I like the thickness of it. So I've got a lot of yellow in there. And yes, I'm not actually, I'll just grab, this is just a piece of watercolor paper scrap. I'm just gonna pull that up. I can make I know I have to make a card with, I want to make a card with the You Are My Sunshine dies, and this will work perfect for that. Okay, and then while it's still wet, we need to get some blue, and I want to get some red in here. Now my paper was wet, remember? So I'm going to add some water to these because I want them to run. Of course, well, hopefully this will work the way I want it to. I'm going to go, there's some white space in this corner right here. So that's where I'm going to squish my blue. And I'm going to do that in this other corner over here too, because I'm going to go right into the red to make that a purpley color. And it's kind of getting dirty because my fingers are dirty. And then this white corner here, I'm going to go ahead right into the red, even though it may have a little bit of the purple in it. And it's going to add a little bit of that red to the yellow. And then I can add some more water. And as it dries, we'll start seeing some green and some purple and blue. So this is still a little bit red for me. So I'm going to go ahead and go right back in right here where I want the purple. Add a little bit more of the blue. Now I got more of that purple in there. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to my desk. Ooh, this one's getting low. I have another one over there. I'm trying to use up, you know, we're hoarders, right? Sometimes trying to use product up. So now I have this fun rainbow background. I'm actually going to try to add a little bit of color right there too. And as this dries, we'll see there's some red, there's some orange, there's some yellow, we got some green, some blue, and some purple. So this is a fun rainbow background that you can have. And I'll probably cut this down, so I'm not going to worry too much about this. I am going to grab one more piece of scratch paper and just slide it through. Use that up. If you want a little bit more control, you can put your aqua pigments on a piece of like packaging, and you can choose where to smush it. I don't do that very often because I like this. Just the way I like this results. And so here, that's just the leftover. Got white space there. We'll see if I can grab some more. And then I'm just going to erase the rest of that white space. And what we're going to do very quickly before we end here is go ahead and add some pearl on top. Yeah, you can paint, you can smush, you can all sorts of stuff. It's liquid watercolor. Ink Smush is my favorite because it makes me lose control and not have control. And not that I have control issues, it's just that I'm so used to control. And this makes me relax and not have that much control. And then it's always afterwards, once it's dry, I always like, oh my gosh. So when I don't know what to do, if I'm feeling no mojo, ooh, that's looking a little dirty. That's all right. We'll make it work. This is what I do. I make backgrounds. I choose a couple of colors and I just smush backgrounds and I put them to the side. And then if I need a quick card, I can throw it in an embossing folder, throw a background stamp over it, and heat emboss some clear embossing ink or black or white, throw a sentiment on it, foil on it if I want to, die cut it out, stamp a solid image like the fairy release. We had this image. You could stamp this image on the front and you'd have basically a card with sentiment. So all sorts of ink smushing. It is my favorite mojo. And then I just keep them in the side over there, you know. And anytime I watercolor, I use up my leftovers to make backgrounds and I put them aside so if I need to make another card quick. So, all right. Well, I hope you did a little bit, learned a little bit of how I like to use aqua pigments and ink smushing. I'm going to sign off tonight. Don't forget, you can enter the challenge on the Brutus Monroe fan club page up until June 29th, about midnight, using aqua pigments and one other Brutus Monroe product, you know, whether it's a die cut or a sentiment or a stamp or something else. And then please put in hashtag CYOE challenge so that I can find them easier. And I will do a random draw on the 30th and post the winner. You're welcome. Thank you, Ellen. You have a chance to win a gift certificate to the Brutus Monroe store. The winners, you can do 2 projects a month, and it's just I enter all the names of the people that draw and do a spin and pull their names out, pull the name out, and then you can win a gift certificate. So you're welcome. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Don't forget to check Shannon out later tonight. Okay? All right. Good night. I got to make sure I know how to end this. Here it is. Have a great night, guys.